Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Casey. I'm going to be your instructor for Philosophy of Mind, your professor. Uh, Obviously, you know that you've signed up for Philosophy of Mind. You may not have a clear idea of what this amounts to. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about in this welcome video is that. Let's begin by talking about the syllabus a little bit. We're going to cover 5 separate topics over the course of 10 weeks. The first of these is going to be mind-body relation. There are 2 fundamental views in this. One is that the mind and the body are separate entities, different kinds of substances. The basic question for this is how they interact, if they are so different. The other is that there's really only one kind of substance, whether it be material, mental, or some neutral substance. In week 2, we'll cover dualism, which is the view that there are 2 separate substances. In week 3, we'll cover monism. The first week will be an introduction to the course. We're going to give you an overview of what the course is going to be about. The next topic we'll move on to is freedom of the will. Are our actions freely chosen, or are they determined in some way? Obviously, from a scientific point of view, causality is an important consideration. We make the assumption that every cause has some sort of effect and vice versa. Does that preclude the possibility of freedom of the will? We'll look at that in week 4. In week 5 and 6, we're going to go on to talk about innate knowledge. Do we start off with information when we're born? If so, how extensive will this be? There is an historical discussion about that that began with Descartes, René Descartes, in the 17th century, who was replied to. Descartes argued for innate ideas, and we'll look at that. John Locke makes a reply to him later on in the century, and we'll examine that reply as well, along with a couple of other figures such as Leibniz and then Immanuel Kant in that context. In the second second week on innate ideas or innate knowledge, we will look at the contemporary discussion of that has rearisen in the 20th century, in particular with the work of the linguist Noam Chomsky, who has argued that all children are born with knowledge of an innate grammar. We'll move on in week 7 to look at the topic of personal identity. Who are we? What does it mean to be a person? How do we know that we're the same person through time? There are various views on this, and we will examine the main ones among them. And then the last 3 weeks of the course, a topic that has become increasingly important, and that is the topic of artificial intelligence. If tech people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk have argued that, or have warned against the possibility that androids may in effect displace a large number of human workers in the space of the not too distant future. What are the prospects for artificial intelligence? We'll look a little bit at the history of it in philosophical thought, which is relatively recent. It only goes back to the 1950s with the publication in the journal Mind by Alfred Turing, Can Machines Think? And in that context as well, we're going to look at a couple of films which you may or may not be familiar with. The first of these, published or released in 1982, was directed by Ridley Scott, and that's called Blade Runner. Blade Runner is now undergoing a remake, which is, I believe, supposed to come out sometime next year. But we will look at the original film, the director's cut of that. And in addition, we're going to look at Ex Machina, film on artificial intelligence, which was released, I believe, in the beginning of 2014. We'll do that at a convenient time over Thanksgiving break is when it's scheduled. In terms of the conduct of the course itself, this will be the only video that you'll see, but there will be every week a slideshow that is accompanied by a VoiceThread audio over the slideshow. So I will be giving you lectures with slideshows all but Thanksgiving week. So there will be 9 of those. And in addition to our text, and our required text is on the Philosophy of Mind, by Barbara Montero, and I've also recommended Minds and Computers by Matt Carter. I only held those up briefly, but the pertinent information is available for them. There will be 3 short papers in weeks, handed out in weeks in weeks 2, and then a midterm, and then in week the midterm is when the midterm is usually, and then at the end of October, the second paper will be handed out, and the topic will be handed out, and in the middle of November, the third one. The way that the schedule runs this week, there's usually a week off for Thanksgiving, and I've tried to arrange it so that, given that our course starts on a Monday, our official course day is a Monday, we will have an official week. We won't have a week off that week, let's put it that way. However, I've arranged, as I mentioned, for the 2 films to be viewed during that week, and that is all you will have to do. Those films are now available on Course Reserves, so that you can view them anytime that you like, and so that you can have that week free. In addition, this will allow us to get the topic for the final posted early. The last slideshow audio lecture that we will put out will be on November 27th, and at that point in time, or shortly, or right around that point in time, the final topic will be posted, and that will not be due until sometime just before the middle of December. So you'll have a couple. You can either A, get it done early if you like, or B, which is probably more likely to tell you the truth, you'll have some gap in between, and you can get it done at the end, which most students, including myself when I was a student a long time ago, was prone to do, was inclined to do. There are some other things that should be said about the conduct of the course. I have, although this is an online course, and it will be totally asynchronous. There will be no scheduled meeting times. I do, however, have a way of measuring course participation, and that will be taken into account, particularly in compiling your final grade. There are all sorts of online course reports available concerning student activity within the course. If I see that you have not watched the lectures, and in other online courses, I've had people who have spent like 8 hours, 7 hours the entire term on the course website, which indicates to me that they really haven't viewed or really listened to the lectures and have just done the minimum amount. All of that is taken into consideration. Spending more time with the course does not guarantee a higher grade, but spending little or no time with the course almost definitely guarantees a lower grade. And you should know up front that there are ways of measuring that. Late papers will be penalized 10%. I will let you know when the paper is due. There may be a limited grace period afterward, but I will, in fact, enforce those penalties, because I find that that is really the best way, unfortunately, to assure student cooperation concerning due dates. Other than that, I wish you all the best in this course, and I hope that you do as well as you possibly can. There will not be, having said that I'm ready to end, there will not be any office hours. I've found that if I conduct office hours over Blackboard Collaborate, nobody, and I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years here online, nobody or hardly anybody ever shows up. I will be easy to contact, however. You can contact me by email, which seems to be the preferred way of contacting me for students. You can phone me. My phone numbers are available. You can contact me by either way if you want to talk in person, and we can Skype. But office hours will be by appointment. Everything is set up to go for the first couple of weeks. After that, the various content will be revealed week by week. So if there are any questions, feel free to contact me. And again, I wish you all the best on this course.